r/AskReddit. What successful idea was secretly a fuck up? Silly string became a thing because its inventors were trying to develop a better temporary cast for military medics to treat the injured during war. Coca-Cola. It was originally made by a pharmacist as a cocktail to cure headaches and stomach aches. Fireworks were, allegedly, invented when a Chinese chef accidentally mixed together the ingredients for gunpowder, sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter, all of which would have been common kitchen items back then, and stored them in a bamboo tube. Said tube exploded, along with a decent chunk of the kitchen. Probably. Anyway, the next time that you see fireworks, remember that you're technically celebrating bad cooking. America's discovery. Chocolate chip cookies. This lady was making chocolate cookies and she realized she was out of baking chocolate. So she decided to put in pieces of regular chocolate, assuming it would melt into the batter. Instead, the chocolate chip cookie was born. Devil May Cry. It was meant to be Resident Evil 2, but somewhere along the way, it strayed too far from the formula and became Devil May Cry. FedEx was an MBA thesis that got a B. Potato chips were first cooked by a chef who was furious when a customer complained that his fried potatoes weren't thin enough. WD-40. They were trying to develop a degreaser. Edit. See the responses to my comment. Is inaccurate. Thanks to everyone that pointed it out and provided links. This. Creepers in Minecraft. They were originally pigs. Microwaves were invented when a scientist left a chocolate bar in his pocket and it melted. Tea bags. Tea used to be stored in metal or tin boxes and you would then put it in your own metal thingy with holes, no clue what they are called, which you put in your hot water. But one of the manufacturers thought those metal boxes were too expensive, so he put the tea in small cloth bags, with the idea that people would cut them open and put the tea in those metal thingies. Instead, people just put the little cloth bags in their hot water. Ivory soap floats. It was unintentional and deemed a flaw until dozens of housewives wrote in and praised the floating as a huge benefit while doing laundry while not having to search around the bottom of the wash tub for the soap. Mario games as we know them today would be totally different if the programmers hadn't forgotten to account for player movement while airborne. They allegedly forgot to remove your ability to move while airborne, so the game allowed you to move normally. They didn't fix it and now we got Mario. High chews. They were trying to make a new type of chewing gum. Rubbers. Before rubbers were invented, people used banana skins to rub pencil off paper. One day someone accidentally used a bit of rubber instead of banana. Silly putty was a mistake. Superglue was originally supposed to be a new type of glass for sniper scopes. LSD was supposed to be a headache remedy. To be fair though, it is hard to focus on your head pounding once you realize all things are interconnected. The past and future are just constructs of an unenlightened mind futilely describing the ever-present now. If there ever was a time your head did not hurt, then that time is now. If ever there was a place where your mind is unencumbered by pain, then that place is here. The Hitachi Magic Wand. Marketed as a back massager. Housewives loved it for some reason. Semicolon. Penicillin. The 40-hour work week. Viagra was originally a heart medication. People caught on to its significant side effect pretty early on. My brother. The story of aspartame comes to mind. Invented discovered due to sloppiness. Viagra. Originally in clinical for trials as a drug against heart diseases. Patient however were brave enough to mention an interesting side effect. Oops. All berries. Running was accidental discovered after Thomas Running tried to walk twice at the same time. Nylon. Creepers. America supplying the future terrorists with weapons to fight the USSR in 1979. Really blew up in their face, didn't it? Badum. Tish. Sandwiches came about when an English earl was too busy gambling to eat his meal and needed to keep one hand free. Post-it notes. Penicillin was discovered after Alexander Fleming in 1928 when he left a partially eaten sandwich in the lab while he was on a 2-week vacation. The sandwich got moldy and some of the mold spores transferred to his Staphylococcus culture plates, contaminating them. When he came back, he noticed that Staphylococcus wouldn't grow in the contaminated plates. Fleming should have not been eating in a laboratory with potentially harmful germs growing, nor should he have left a sandwich in the lab when mold or yeast could contaminate his cultures. Nevertheless, penicillin became a potent antibiotic that went on to save countless lives. The glue for post-it notes was supposed to be a permanent adhesive, but it failed all the tests. An employee found the test papers ages later and realized it was still tacky after all that time. And an idea was born. Can't remember the details. But a Chinese man asked for some water. As the servant was bringing it to him, a leaf fell in. The man liked it and boom. Michael Scott's golden ticket promotion. The microwave oven. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/microwave_oven. Edit. Okay. It was more of an accident than a fuck up, but still. Microwaves were never meant to be used on food. Some dude was in a lab working with them, I think for military purposes, and realized the waves he was experimenting with melted the chocolate bar in his pocket after standing in front of the beam for only a few seconds. RQ23QQ11er. Edit. Note to self. Power down phone screen before getting distracted from a Reddit post. Plastic cling film saran wrap. They were trying to find a new way to insulate delicate radio antenna. Nitroglycerine. For medical use, it's used to dilate, open, blood vessels in cardiac patients. Nitroglycerine is used in explosives and was handled without protection in the munitions plants during World War II. Once the war was over and the plants were shut down, a high number of workers were dropping from heart attacks, no longer exposed. Their arteries constricted. Silly putty. I can't remember why. Gunpowder was created by a guy trying to make a potion to save lives. By trying to save lives, they killed millions. This is kind of the opposite, though most people don't know the actual outcome. Some engineer invented a water pump that is powered by a playground merry-go-round like the ones you see kids spinning around on. The idea was to put these all over Africa and water would be pumped from the ground just by kids playing. It got a ton of support and was hailed as a huge innovation, and pretty much everyone was on board. After installing these things, kids played on them for the photos, and almost immediately after, the kids were replaced with the women in the villages who now spent their days spinning this thing around to get water. I suppose it still puts a water pump in villages, though the outcome was a PR disaster, and it's pretty commonly joked about in the design community as a massive oversight. Post-it notes. They were working on a new superglue and developed a stickable MacLeod instead. Popcorn. Post-its. Phosphorus was discovered after a chemist boiled his piss. I'm sure synthetic plastic was a fuck up. There were plastics, but it was organic based. Some guy was trying to make something else and accidentally made Bakelite. Water balloons. The dude who invented them was trying to make waterproof socks for soldiers during World War I. Vegetable seed oils. Chocolate chip cookies. The damn chocolate was supposed to be melted. The Trump for President campaign. Vacuum cleaners, they literally suck. Chemotherapy. Apparently they discovered it after autopsying the results of an accidental leak of mustard gas in World War II. Using it was a war crime in that period. But when you have a ship carrying it just in case and that ship gets bombed, and noticing that cell division was curtailed. Viagra. Potato chips were supposed to be French fries that were extra thin. Post-it notes. The adhesive was meant to be stronger, but the ability to apply removed without damage turned it into something else. The invention of corn flakes. Potato chips. Penicillin. Guinness. Penicillin. Basically a forgotten petri dish that developed fungi that killed the bacteria in the dish. Post-it notes were because some guy wanted to make the strongest glue ever but got it a bit wrong, and his mate, who was a keen reader, asked him for some before he got rid of it all and used it to stick to bits of paper so his bookmarks wouldn't move. And the post-it note was born. At least that's what I've heard. Hershey's chocolate. Raisins. Apparently someone failed to harvest his grapes in time, resulting them to get dried out in the sun. Also, post-its. The inventor meant to make super glue. He failed and made this super weak glue that is used on post-its. The Slinky, a toy originally intended for use as an industrial equipment stabilizer. Invented by naval engineer Richard James. The sensitive springs were meant to keep fragile equipment steady on ships. Then James knocked one of his new springs from a shelf and, like a kid on Christmas morning, watched it do that famous slinky walk down instead of just hitting the ground. He took the creation home to show his wife, who saw the potential for a new toy. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/slinky-media/file:/slinky-media/slinky_id_19460.jpg. Listerine. It started out as a floor cleaner. If you want to get nothing in return, you can like and join my Discord. There is a link in the description.